Obesity is the leading cause of death in the USA, but that didn't seem to worry these influencers too much as they made money eating vast quantities of junk food, opened salons to cater to morbidly obese clients, and even dedicated their lives to proving that you can be healthy at every size. Unfortunately though, all of these influencers met the same fate, and we will start with the youngest influencer on our list, who made thousands creating his mukbang content until it cost him the ultimate price. Chan Kultur was a body-positive mukbanger who made his living by eating vast quantities of food online. Despite his aged appearance, obviously due to his massive weight, he was just 24 years old at the time of these images. His TikTok page had amassed over 188,000 followers, with his content consisting of simply recording himself eating meals. Chan was from Turkey, which has a bit of a reputation for being one of the most obese countries in the world, as 61% of the population are overweight, with 32% of those being obese. A big factor of this is the food that is traditional in Turkey, with the biggest culprit being the traditional doner kebab, which is meat stacked on top of each other and sliced in rotisserie style. These kebabs are just covered in oil, which stacks up the calories and makes it incredibly easy to gain weight, which is something that Chan had no trouble doing. He didn't seem to mind gaining so much weight though, as it was allowing him to live a lifestyle of eating out at high-end restaurants and earning a living without needing a traditional job. This wouldn't last forever though, as his awful eating habit would soon catch up with him, with disastrous consequences. In December 2024, he was hospitalized due to his weight and the related issues that followed along, but was sent home and was allowed to continue getting his healthcare there. On the 31st of January, Chan uploaded a video of himself getting some sort of treatment and physio, the caption reading, "Continuing treatment at full throttle," but as it turns out, this treatment he was receiving wouldn't help too much. In his last TikToks, he was shown just lying in bed as his massive size meant he wasn't able to get up, suffering breathing problems and mobility issues. And just 3 months on from his initial hospitalization on the 7th of March, Chan lost his life due to presumed heart failure. Now, although Chan didn't speak too much in his videos, the next influencer to lose their life was massively outspoken about her views on fat acceptance, even running a podcast to talk about health at every size. Dr. Kat Pause was an American academic and a self-proclaimed fat activist, having degrees in philosophy and sociology, with her dissertation exploring the stigma society holds against fat people. While yes, there's no denying that society does have a stigma against people who are obese, Kat took her beliefs a step further and argued that you can be healthy at every size, including morbidly obese, being a big name in the health at every size movement. Kat found ways to monetize her fatness too, which is her own words, not mine, with one of them being launching the Friends of Marilyn podcast, and she actually ended up traveling the world interviewing other obese people for her show. The key point of her studies and her shows was that fat people aren't being given the same rights as average weight people, claiming that people are rejected housing and even fired from their jobs for being too large. She actually wrote a study titled "I Don't Care About Health," where she claims that she's always had a sneaking suspicion that despite being morbidly obese, there was actually nothing wrong with her body health-wise. In the same document, she wanted to convince people that being fat doesn't actually make you unhealthy, but provides zero supporting evidence for this. However, we would soon have some very strong evidence that went against this claim. Like I said in the introduction, obesity is the biggest cause of death in the USA. The numbers on it are actually staggering too, with almost 3/4 of the American population being obese. Over 70 million adults are classed as it. Honestly, these numbers should be a wake-up call to change your habits. And I do have a completely free newsletter that I send out every Friday, sharing healthy recipes which are high in protein and low in calories. Now, I know from personal experience how difficult it can be to change your eating habits, and I made this with my good friend Johnny with the goal of teaching as many people as we can to cook nutritious meals. The link is in the description to sign up, or just visit Fat Loss Kitchen. And again, this is completely free. Now, Kat Pause unfortunately did not change her eating habits and carried on her crusade against society for their abuse and discrimination of fat people. This was all up until 2022, when at the age of just 42 years old and living in New Zealand, she passed away in her sleep. She was working as a fat studies academic at a university in New Zealand at the time, and no cause of death was officially given. This would be the same as the next influencer to tragically lose their life. However, his content was less academic and more about food. Waffler69 or Taylor Lejeune was a 33-year-old food TikToker who posted videos of him eating huge and strange meals, accompanied by his excitable personality. Considering he amassed over 1.9 million followers and each of his videos gained millions of views, it's safe to say he was making more than enough money to support his eating habit, and he needed it. If you take a scroll down his TikTok page, you can see that he must have been spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month on huge meals and strange food items.
Today we're trying cookie liquor. I've got 3 McDonald's breakfast sandwiches. Which one's the best? I've got Lay's Waves Funyun onion flavored rings. I've got 3 new pickled snacks. Let's see what they are. Loaded baked potato pickles, spicy garlic, and hot peppers. I got Silverboy pizza from the new season of Stranger Things. Let's see, what is this frozen pizza like?
Although his meals aren't as extreme as Effichan's, and he didn't share his fat positivity views like Kat did, that doesn't mean his health was any better. And you can see that Taylor was massively overweight, and his diet seemed to be the main reason for that. In a video uploaded on the 3rd of February, he actually shared the screen with his brother, and commenters loved him, even calling them an iconic duo. However, the next time we would see Taylor's brother would be under very different and heartbreaking circumstances.
Hey guys, if anyone's being shared this video from another, or if you just don't know, I'm related to Waffler69, or my brother Taylor. He has passed away around 10 p.m. on January 11th, 2023, from a presumed heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital, and I want to say like an hour and a half later, he passed away.
The most shocking part is that Taylor's brother revealed that their father and grandfather died from heart failure, and Taylor died of a suspected heart attack. For the most part, Taylor was pretty uncontroversial and didn't make a big fuss about his weight or talk about it much, which is the exact opposite to Brittany Sauer, whose entire personality was based around her weight. Brittany Sauer was another professional TikToker who was 28 years old and lived in Springfield, Tennessee. Her hobbies included mainly gaming, but her biggest hobby was creating videos on TikTok eating and showing off her body and supposed weight loss journey. Her TikTok account was called Sick and Tired of Waiting, and she boasted a following of almost 500,000. But the main interesting part was her account description, which read regaining my mobility and life, BED recovery, and type 2 diabetes. Now, although she did like to make jokes about being fat, it's the second part of her bio that we should focus on, as she said herself that she was in recovery for a binge eating addiction, and genuinely did seem like she was trying to make steps to change, even sharing her weight loss journey very openly.
Oh my god, I am 21.6 pounds down now. I'm excited. That brings me to 433.6 down from 455.2. And I'm so excited!
I will say that the rate that she lost weight, however, was incredibly slow, as she lost those 20 pounds that she talked about over around 150 days. So it's clear that despite her efforts to eat in a calorie deficit and exercise, it objectively wasn't working. It seems like Brittany herself knew this too, as at the end of 2022 she posted this TikTok, seeming to finally open her eyes as to just how serious her situation was becoming.
I ruined my life with food, binge eating, and lack of self-care. And I'm hoping that it's not too late for me this time. You know, I ain't been to the store in 2 years, maybe more now, I guess. I went to the post office once and that was hard. I went to urgent care and I thought my legs were gonna give out from under me because I had to stand there the entire time after walking in. You know, I kept just looking back at the chair and just praying that I could just make it another second.
At the start of the TikTok, Brittany prays that it hasn't become too late to change, but unfortunately that would be the case. On the 2nd of January 2023, just 6 days after the previous TikTok, Brittany unfortunately passed away in her sleep, with many people pointing to a heart attack as the cause of death at the age of just 28. While Brittany was making an effort to change her life, the next influencer to lose her life was in the complete opposite frame of mind.
Society makes you hate yourself if you don't look a certain way, and I am damn determined to change that.
Jamie Lopez was a 37-year-old reality TV influencer who starred in the show Supersize Salon, which, as you can probably guess, featured sassy women who were all morbidly obese. Jamie actually owned the salon behind the show too, named Baby Doll Beauty, and despite being the owner, she was pretty much completely immobile, having to greet clients while sat in her chair.
Our new location today is the opening. It's a few hours away. There's still things that need to be done. I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be an epic event.
Jamie also shared her reasons behind launching the salon too, and they're probably what you expect.
All of our chairs are fully equipped to hold up to 800 pounds. It's an experience. We wanted to create an environment where big women can come and feel like we treat it like royalty instead of go through discrimination like we do when we go to like regular salons that can't accommodate us. So, yeah.
Well, and you use the word discrimination. Let's talk about that feeling. You said you have experienced feeling very uncomfortable or feeling, is it ostracized because of your size at times?
Absolutely. I mean, regular salons that I go to before I opened my business, it was like to the point where I stopped going because I felt so uncomfortable. And, they couldn't, some of the salons had to turn me down because they didn't have a chair for me.
Right.
So I knew I wasn't the only big girl that went through this. So I wanted to create an environment where everybody can come and get pampered and gorgeous and waxed and everything.
Outside of launching a plus-size salon, she actually launched a plus-size nightclub too, which was marketed towards the morbidly obese, seemingly as a way to normalize it. The comments on this video announcing the nightclub were pretty disturbing too, with people actually not just supporting the idea of the nightclub, but promoting obesity itself, including those who fetishized it. I love plus-size women. The bigger, the better. And obviously, these are the types of comments that Jamie was looking to attract, which unfortunately just further entrenches the idea that there's nothing wrong with their weight, because other people seem to like it. Unfortunately, as we all know, this is completely false, and in all honesty, dangerous. As we've seen with the majority of people in this video, almost all of them have died due to some sort of heart complication, such as heart failure or a heart attack. Obesity significantly increases your risk of a heart attack by around 28%, and for every 5-point increase in BMI, it raises your risk of heart failure by a massive percent. At her largest, Jamie Lopez was a staggering 840 pounds, and if she was the average height of around 5'4", that puts her BMI at 144, putting her at huge risk of heart failure, which is unfortunately exactly what happened. In December 2022, she was rushed to a Las Vegas hospital with heart complications, and at the age of just 37 years old, succumbed to her obesity. It's honestly terrifying to think that some of these influencers were proponents of the healthy at every size movement, which is objectively incorrect and just downright dangerous. And if you want to see more people who live their lives at over 600 pounds but want to make a change, click the video that's on your screen now to see the most disgusting episode ever on my 600 pound life.